Good morning and welcome to Atlantic Blowout on Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network featuring chit-chatting and conversation on special interest topics, news, events and stories through correspondent reports, expert opinion and stakeholders analysis. Today on Blowout, we look at Anambra State. Commissioner of Police assures encourages activities against sit-at-home. On National Assembly, reps get Child Access Protection Bill 2023. And on the Edo State, Governor Obaseki warns Nigerians on hard times. Still on coup, no plans to end democracy in Nigeria. And on governance, President Tinubu to review police welfare packages. And on grains, Ukraine gift, Nigeria not a failed state. Federal government reacts. Do not go away. When I come back from this break, I will introduce you to my guests and we'll dive right into the show.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You're a human
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. With me on the show today is Dr. Dum Zole Dibom. But Dr. Dum is a political analyst. You're welcome to Blowout, Dr. Dum.
Thank you so much, Laurentia, for having me. And good morning, our listeners at home and their respective offices in across Nigeria.
All right, on to the stories. The Commissioner of Police in Anambra State, Aderemi Adeoye, has promised to ensure the safety of residents of the state doing businesses on Mondays. Mr. Adeoye spoke on Monday when he visited business people in Onitsha, the commercial hub of the state, according to reports. The police commissioner was referring to the infamous sit-at-home often enforced by a faction of the indigenous people of Biafra across the state and other states in Nigeria's southeast and some parts of south Nigeria. Mr. Adeoye said he visited the commercial city to assess the security situation in the area following efforts to end the sit-at-home in the state. The police chief used the visit to meet with shuttle drivers operating along the Upper Iweka part of the city, which has been a known den of criminals enforcing the illegal lockdown. He subsequently announced the lifting of a curfew in Nnewi, Onitsha, and Ogbaru areas by the state government, which was imposed during the frequent attacks in the areas. While urging the residents and business people to be law-abiding and vigilant, Mr. Adeoye commended them for coming out for their activities on Mondays in compliance with the resolve of security agencies and the state government to end the illegal sit-at-home. The commissioner assured that police in the state will guarantee their safety on Mondays. He said, "Your return to businesses on Mondays shows an act of patriotism to the nation, and in return, we assure that your safety is our responsibility." Southeast area of Nigeria has been strictly adhered to by residents in those areas, and usually it's on Mondays, but there are also times when the IPOB agitators will do a broadcast and extend it as the case may be, depending. And again, whenever Nnamdi Kanu is going to court, sit-at-home is also enforced in the southeast part of Nigeria. Now, the Commissioner of Police for Anambra State has come out to encourage citizens and residents to go about their daily activities. He said in fact, he said the curfew previously put there by the state government because of constant killings and harassment has been removed. Now, in light of how aggressively this sit-at-home has been enforced, in previous times, do you think that the residents who have been traumatized by it come out?
That commercial activities should commence effectively. I think that is a welcome development. And although I know the citizens should be skeptical about how the police will go about to enforce that directive. Yeah. So, but above all, I think it's a gradual process, which with time, they will also, with time, everything will return to normalcy. But the statement, I think, is a welcome one. Because if you look at it, within the period that these sit-at-home were enforced by these IPOB people, you see that economic activities suffers a lot of setbacks. And so I think the people of this area should see as a welcome development and, gradually respond to the call.
Okay. Now let's look at this attempt has been carried out before by the state governor then. And he gave an instruction and encouraged the residents to come out and do their daily activities, and shun the sit-at-home order. Now, schools opened, as per the behest of the governor. Schools opened on that day. People went about their daily activities. The market was open, and suddenly, these people,
IPOB people,
yes, came out
and struck.
They struck so badly. They went to the schools. They brought out the team on social media at that time. They also went to market. They destroyed goods. They beat people. They harassed people. They were shooting on the air. And after that incident, the governor never came out again to say flaunt the sit
condemn,
at home. He
okay,
never came out
okay.
to even, he did not come out again to say, ignore the sit at home and do your daily activities. Now, in the face of this kind of
call again,
yes, reprisal by
okay.
the agitators, do you think that the police, because it's expected that it was expected that when the governor gave that instruction, the governor will also, it now behoves on him to protect the citizens and the residents that come out on that day to go to school and to go on with their daily activities and commercial activities as well. Do you think the police at this point is equipped to protect the citizens across all the local governments in Anambra State?
Well, Laurentia, just like we are discussing earlier before now, you know, the issue of security is not just government personal business alone. The citizens of the area should also, you know, think of the best way to improvise. When improvising, I mean, is, you know, their local securities. Yes, in River State here now, you know, we have all these local securities, they call them cars park and all those things. I think there is need for a number of people to also come up with outfits like that to support their effort of the government. Then coming to the statement of the governor, you have come again. Coming to the statement of the governor, do you think the governor, before coming out to issue such directive, there was the security outfit within the state or such a prior meeting to that? IPOB and whatever name they are called, they cannot fight government. That is my belief.
No, that's the thing. Whatever the governor and the security operatives of the state discuss,
yes,
it stays with the governor. But when the governor comes out to say, go about your daily activities, it is expected that
it's about enforcement. It's about what we are talking about, borders
and dotted the I's. So the residents are not going to ask the governor about the safety.
Of course, that is not what we are saying.
That
is not what we are saying. What I'm saying, yes, what I'm saying here is that one, that if there is that synergy, if there is that understanding, the governor and the security agents within the state reach an agreement that, oh, this is what we are going to do. I think it is mandatory upon the security agencies to enforce it, because the statement of the governor is a bond, and it is in fact should be enforced stronger. Officer cannot be, because the populace, yeah, they are more than it. So when issues like this come up, I think the people living around that area need to think of the best way to support the police to ensure that the directive of the governor or the government is enforced effectively. But if you observe, within the southeast states, you observe that when this IPOB come up with statements like this, the populace embrace it, and if you want to go against them, it looks as if you are fighting against them not to realize the economy of the area and improvise by way of supporting the police to ensure.
How do you support the police? Let's still hunker on that.
You say how do we support? I've given you an instance of River State. You know, River State earlier before now, no, there were little pockets of issues of security challenge. But with the introduction of some of these local security outfits, like I made mention of the cars park and the rest, you see that some of those things are gradually, they are trying to curtail it.
Okay. Now, still on southeastern states, let me use Imo State for example. Imo State have local Imo State, especially in Olu area of Imo State. And their story is another story altogether. There are two different local security or vigilante groups, at war with each other there. And while both of them are going at each other,
the local vigilante
and the challenges of River State, it's peculiar.
I agree with you.
Now, Imo State, Anambra State, Abia State, all these southeastern states, their challenges are also peculiar. You can't compare the two, because now IPOB has been proscribed as terrorists.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And then there are other people who are hiding under the guise of IPOB. It could be IPOB, it could be, there are allegations, there are also other people hiding under the guise of IPOB to perpetrate evil within the Southeast. Okay. So now, it is a complex situation, not it. You go out, you flaunt it at the risk to your own life.
Okay.
Right. So by the time you hear that they've killed so and so, you wouldn't want to go out. So most of the people in the Southeast, I am not sure they are embracing it out of, we want to be part of IPOB. I guess a lot of fear, that is very palpable, could be one of the reasons people embrace it because they are scared of losing their lives.
Yes. When you talk about the issue of the peculiarity of Rivers State, I was trying to understand it from the perspective of Rivers State as being a state that is of multi-ethnic groups. That is what I was thinking. But in the case of Imo State, they are, I think, is a one ethnic group state, Igbos, and they hear themselves, they speak the same language. So if that is true, I don't think there should be issue of, I don't think there is need. I don't think that issue of security should be a problem. If the people don't seem to, embrace the idea, paraded by the IPOB, yes, I stand to be corrected. If the people say no, the people perpetrating this crime, they are no more than the entire population there. I hope you are aware.
The population, are they armed?
Whether the population, are they armed?
Yes. Are they armed?
But they know them.
Are they armed like these other people? Now, there, like I said, not necessarily IPOB, there are also pockets of people. And then IPOB has also come out to say they are not the ones enforcing, they sit at home.
Then if they are not the one, let them support the populace to resist these people. Because it is believed that the IPOB people
are the ones enforcing it.
Yes, and above all too, it is also known that the IPOB people are more sophisticated in terms of every other thing to combat this crime. So if they are not the people
to combat the crime,
if they are not the people behind it, I think there is need for them to come up to resist these people.
All right.
So that in a way
they will clear their names.
Their names will be cleared.
All right.
Their name will be cleared.
Okay, we'll go on a short break. When we're back, we'll continue with the stories. Don't go away.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay tuned.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. Joining us on the show this morning is Probel President. Probel President is a youth leader and an activist. Good morning, Mr. Probel, and welcome to Blowout.
Good morning.
Ensure the protection of children on the internet. The speaker called on parents to do everything possible to ensure that their children are protected. Abbas said this while making his address at the opening of a public hearing on the bill for an act to provide for the enactment of Child Online Access Protection Bill 2023 and other issues of online violence against Nigerian children and other related matters at the National Assembly Complex on Tuesday. Represented by the Chief Whip, Honorable Usman Bello Kumo, the Speaker said the bill was straightforward and seeks legislation to ensure all hands are on deck in protecting the child from being harmed. The chairman of House of Representatives Committee on Justice, Olumide Osoba, also said it was expedient that the safety and well-being of children on the internet are protected as a matter of urgency. He said, the protection of children on the internet cannot be overemphasized because we are in a digital world. We must key into global best practices, and our children must not be exposed to an extent where some people take advantage of them and abuse them. He said the proposed bill not only acknowledges the potential danger online violence poses to the youth, but also aims to put effective measures in place to prevent and address such incidents. He said, by setting up regulations to restrict access to harmful content, imposing stricter penalties for perpetrators, and promoting digital literacy programs, we can create a safer online environment for our children to explore and thrive in. The lawmaker said it was worth noting that the bill not only focuses on protection, but also embraces the importance of fostering responsible digital citizenship. Mr. Probert,
yes.
What's your take on this child enactment bill? Child protection enactment bill.
First and foremost, I would say it's a welcome development. I think these are the things we are expecting from lawmakers in the country. But there are strategies that they can use to cope the issue of child violence online. Drives our society today. So when we want to restrict children from internet violence, say bullying, doxing, and cybercrime, the same way the issue of BVM was resolved can be used. Like in China, when you see TikTokers, they always portray the aspect of TikToks that is all about technology and production parity. But in other developing countries, the sexuality aspect of TikTokers is what is exposed. So internet providers can collaborate with the parents of these children, the internet service providers, and the government to cope the issue of doxing by restricting. You know what is good and bad. So it depends on you. So they are talking about children. Children cannot have a BVN. So these are some of the medium mechanisms they can use. And again, I am even thinking that my daughter will not have access to internet or mobile phone even until she gets to university level. I will allow her to have access to type like the traditional desktop, but you don't have access to go on Facebook, use all the social media platforms, because these are the things that distress children. They don't have what it takes to control their emotions.
Okay. Now, we'll still come to BVN and accessibility to children. But before we come to that, you said something about limiting your child's access to the internet space, especially social media like Facebook and all that.
Yes.
Now, if your child is using desktop or maybe using your iPad or your phone to maybe read up something online, right, to research, there are still links that pop up. There are still sites, X-rated sites that pop up, and it could come as a question, it could come as anything, and the moment you click on that site, it takes you into a different world altogether. How are you able to control that? Because it pops up on its own. I guess you use phone, particularly Android phone. There are sites on Android phone. There are sites on Android phone that pops up on its own. So how do you restrict that? How do you control that? Because you're not even in control of such pop-ups. Okay.
Yes, I think the best way to cope the issue of internet harassment and all that is about thinking of the best way to develop an app that can regulate some of those sites that pops up like that. And also too, there is, I think it should be part of the bill that there is need for government to reorientate our younger generations on how to use the internet space. Not just the younger generations, also the caregivers, the parents. There is also need for us to talk to them, because if if there is no awareness, I think the issue of the wrong uses of internet will be a problem, which cannot be coped.
Okay. Now, Mr. Probe had something to say to that.
Yes, it's a simple issue. The issue is that we don't have parents that are down to earth. I want to care about their children. I want to start from there. Like if you press Windows key and tab, all the information, all the sites, all the things your child, your children have done with your computer system, with their tablet to come up. You see all the windows. So most time when I'm teaching, I used to tell young people, even women, female folks, that if you don't want to study for yourself, for your career, just study for the sake of your children. You know, some parents, they don't even check their children's status. If you're blocked, they don't know. They don't know what they do. And people take precaution when they find out that their parents are stalking them. So these are major issues that we have. Most of our parents, of the people, they don't know about parenting.
Yes.
So they don't care about the welfare of their children. So if you monitor them, they will stop this habit. And with time, they will grow up and understand what you are doing, that is for their safety.
Okay, still on the internet situation. Now, in countries like UAE, there are sites you can never enter. Both children and adults.
Yes.
Their space, their airspace, their internet space is really regulated. It's strict and is highly regulated. And also in countries like North Korea as well, you know, there are sites you can't even access. Their internet is also strictly regulated. Now, do you think such regulations can easily be implemented in Nigeria? Now, how will Nigerian people react to that? How will it be accepted? Will it be widely accepted? Even though basically it's for the favor of the children.
Okay.
Now, let me come to Dr. Don first.
Yes. I think there is nobody that sees anything good that will not embrace it. Where there is proper orientation, let me start with that. Orientations. So if there is proper orientations, Nigerian will accept it. And that, come to think about it, this site you are talking about may be probably pornographic site where our children, you know, and where even the adult, and those area is restricted. So what is bad about that? I think Nigerian will embrace it. They will embrace it. Okay. And the idea of say, okay, let me...
But when you talk about Nigerians, do not forget that Nigeria is very heterogeneous in nature. Don't also forget the youths. The youths, the large population of youths might want to go against this, because when you're... Okay, now let's even come to content.
Although when we want to look at these things to some extent, you know, we should look at it from the economic perspective too.
Okay.
Because there are several dimensions to this thing. Now, you know, youths these days, they believe in taking advantage of every little thing that comes their way on the internet to make money. And so some of them that are driven in that directions, those are the people that may find this thing difficult to, you know, to abide by.
Okay.
Like as you talk about the TikTok issues, some of them, they do funny things on those social medias, both the TikTok and the rest of them, you know, to draw crowd, because they believe that drawing crowd will make them earn more money. And sometimes they don't know that what they are doing is not just to the detriment of themselves, but viewers. Because you can put things on the internet, but you cannot regulate how far that thing will go in terms of the spread and all that. And so the best way to regulate it is to come up with an app that will block this site. And also too, like he has rightly said, the parents too should also take time to look at what their children are doing. via the internet space.
You will be shocked that a lot of children know how to operate the laptop and the phones.
That's true.
More than most parents. That's a fact. But let's still come to the content creation, like I was saying. You know, a lot of youths generate funds from content.
That's why I say the economic perspective.
From the content creation angle.
Okay,
how can the government regulate that? Now, also, do not forget that it is not just limited to the pornography sites. We are also looking at violence, watching violent clips, probably watching people commit suicide. I guess you've seen a lot of that on social media. Suicide being videoed, right? Accidents, gory accident scenes, videos of domestic violence, and a lot of issues that will affect the mental well-being of a child.
Let me come in there. The centrifugal point is restriction. But that restriction should not affect the productivity and economic well-being of a nation.
Okay.
Like you mentioned South Korea, another country. Nobody, UAE, except the UAE that are moving forward. Nobody wants to associate with autocratic nation.
Yes.
Like South Korea, there are things you do and you're using iron fists to control things. You see, those economies are not robust. You take a cursory look at it, you find out that their citizens are not happy. So when you come to content creation and the issue of internet, the country and the game players can actually restrict what is shown to the public. They build the app, they know how to manipulate it, but there are deep issues about this thing that we do not know. Imperialism and the issue of this Western-centric problem in African countries, more especially third world nations, they are always there to make us busy. I read an article that even politicians, they like to introduce sports and other recreational facilities to make the common people busy so that you will not check their excesses in politics. So people now are into sports and internet betting, and that one will shift their attention from what is happening to you. Yesterday, I was moving with a friend in a vehicle, and I told him that in Philippines, their president promised, gave a manifesto for 6 months, and he refused to do what he wanted to do. And the pastor in the church, moved with this crowd to the streets, and even lactating mothers came outside with their mats and breastfeed their children on the road. And you see the crowd, the president has to quit office immediately and run away. So the issue is that some of these things are deliberately designed to depend on them. I will say something about that shortly.
Okay.
So that is just the issue. This can be controlled. It can be managed by the internet service providers.
Yes.
Okay. So the government has to liaise.
Has to liaise with them.
Okay.
And secondly, it's a time that we allow people who have what it takes, I mean the intellectual capability and the digital capability, to be in place of power so that they know how to have the negotiation skill.
All right.
With international powers.
Okay. And on to Edo State. The Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, has predicted tougher economic times for the country due to bad economic policies by the federal government, condemning the decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria to increase the interest rate to 22.75%. The Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN had last week raised the monetary policy rate, also known as the benchmark, the interest rate by the CBN on businesses and the nation's economy, reiterating the need to focus on productive activities. The governor said, the next few months will be difficult because the policies rolled out by CBN will unfortunately not support growth in our economy. The interest rate is already high, and jacking it up will not allow small businesses access to credits to make them grow. We must focus on the fundamentals, which is increasing production, making sure our citizens produce what we consume and depend less on imports. Our economic and monetary policies should not be determined by exchange rates alone. The issue of increasing the cash reserves in a bid to tighten liquidity is going to be detrimental to our economy. We should focus on fiscal issues to enable us to grow our economy, not panic about the interest rates. Creating jobs should be a priority for us as a nation. Commending the role of commercial banks in the societal development, Obaseki tasked the banks to come up with products and services which can assist the majority of citizens in overcoming harsh economic realities experienced nationwide. Dr. Dum, do you think that CBN policies so far under the administration of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has grossly and negatively affected the economy and by extension the Nigerian masses?
Yes. Specifically the issue of increasing the interest rate from 18 this to 22. You know, when it comes to issue of government policy, there are certain things that need to be taken into consideration. One of those things is the multipliers effect of that policy on the common man. For example, if interest rate is increased, as earlier as mentioned there, one of the effects is that one, SMEs, that is those small scale and medium enterprises, they'll be afraid to go to the bank to access loan because high interest rates will also the interest rate will determine how much to be repaid in terms of their monthly payments and all that, and also to the common man, the consumers. Because let's say a common business owner in the market increases price of his produce as a result of high interest rates. There is every tendency that the consumers that don't have any business.
Of times ahead, like tougher times ahead, and that seems to be in line with what the president said at some point when he said, called what we are going through, the baby of suffering. Is this a pointer? Is there no hope in sight? And do you also think, I'll ask you the same question I asked Dr. Zoom, do you urge the Nigerian masses?
Exactly. I will say that interest rates or the increment of interest rate is not a magic bullet that will fix all the problem of the national economy. The issue of interest rate will actually drastically affect Nigerian economy. Obaseki there are some things that the government, when it comes to monetary policy rate committee that they do, that is not the way to fix an economy is production, is value addition, investment in internet of everything. Not all the increment of the rates, the exchange rates. If it skyrockets, like he said, it will actually affect SMEs because people cannot accept.
And people came out to cry out that the interest rate was way too high. Thereby, they are unable, as a result, consequently, to pay back these loans. And then the loan sharks will use harassment as a means of getting
perspective. In fact, before you have what it takes to give a loan, like you talk about the internet loan sharks, before you do that, you must register with the magistrate court within your vicinity. It's within your vicinity. This is enshrined in Nigerian law. You have to, if you're living in NTA or Choba, you have to go to the magistrate court in Choba, obtain a license, and your percentage cannot exceed 5%. If you exceed that, it's a crime, and you can even lose the principal if the person takes you to court. So everybody stay everywhere, because when the country is dysfunctional, it's not working, because the country has failed. Everybody sees the opportunity to do what they like. So you can't just give loan. And in fact, there is character assassination, like what we are talking about, internet bullying and doxing. Sometimes they say people have HIV Sometimes they say they are kidnappers, all kind of names, frivolity. These are crime that shouldn't be allowed. And the government, they are seeing all this in and they do absolutely nothing about it. These are not done in other parts of the world. It's only here you see those kind of things. So before you give a loan, there should be regulation. And there should be a benchmark for your percentage. And there should be timeline. Even the law states the person has to pay you according to his capacity, what he can do. You don't force the person against his will. Because there are unforeseen circumstances that can prevent somebody from funding his loan. So that thing alone can affect this person. What about health condition, health grounds? So they will just go castigating people. And you know, this is a bait. And everybody likes soft landing. Because the government is not functional, is not working, and they've seen an opportunity where they can access loan. They seize that opportunity without self-control to access loan online, and they go about blackmailing their names.
Interesting. On to the next story. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Labaja, has restated the commitment of the Nigerian Army to defend Nigeria's democracy. He said the military has come to terms with the country's choice of democracy as the preferred system of governance. The Chief of Army Staff said this at a seminar on career planning and management organized by the Army headquarters in Abuja. Labaja charged officers of the Nigerian Army to remain above in the discharge of their professional duties. He said, "Permit me to seize this opportunity to reiterate that the armed forces of Nigeria, particularly the Nigerian Army, has come to terms with the country's choice of democracy as the preferred system of governance. We are therefore agents of democracy and have no desire to truncate it. The Nigerian Army will continue to defend our constitution and not suspend it for whatever reason. It is the duty of our elected leaders to lead while the military does its job as enshrined in our Nigerian constitution. Nigerian Army personnel must therefore remain professional and be above board as they discharge their constitutional duties." Recall that the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, had last month, shortly after he inaugurated the main entrance of the 6th Division, Nigerian Army and Officers Transit Accommodation at Division Headquarters in Port Harcourt, assured that the Nigerian military will continue to defend and protect democracy in the country. His assurance came after some unpatriotic individuals called for a military takeover, like what was obtained recently in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic. Now, Dr. Doom,
Yes.
the military has come out again the second time to say that they have no plans to truncate democracy in Nigeria. Now, the first call, this announcement, if I may, or this declaration, was first of all said by the Chief of Defense Staff in Port Harcourt sometime last month, and that garnered a lot of reaction from the people, because a lot of people felt like this is the first time we are even hearing of any, whisperings or conversation or anything around the coup area for a lot of Nigerians. And subsequently after that, the federal government has also reacted to it, and there were information also that security is being tightened up in Aso Rock, and now that was last month, and this month this is coming up again. What do you make of this whole drama?
Well, the whole drama is funny. It's funny in the sense that if we don't have intention, or let's say if the military don't have the intention to do something funny, why would they be coming up to discuss coup at the moment? Especially when a situation where the current situation we are facing in the country today. So we are observers. So let's just look at how the whole thing goes. To me, if they don't have any intention to do anything funny, why would at one point or the other this issue of coup be coming up, especially from an highly placed person?
They are not actually coming out to say that it's going to be coup. They are coming out to reassure
Nigerians. So earlier before now, were there such reassurance when the economy was not in a drowning state like this. So that reassurance...
So you're saying the reassurance is not coming out of nothing?
Yes. It's a signal that if Nigeria exceeds its elastic limits, that something funny may happen. Yes.
Really? Yeah. Mr. Probel, do you agree with that?
I don't agree. The issue is that I cannot forecast any military coup d'etat in Nigeria because the system, like we said, is not working. Even the military, there is no control. There should be a control in the Nigerian army or the military before you can carry out a coup. It's a kind of coordinated plan. There is a book I would recommend for you to read, Why We Struck, by Dele Adeyemuyega. You see, when you see military coup, there are junior officers that carries out coup. If you check intelligence and security studies, it's junior officers, and those junior officers are people that are not happy about the system, not generals, not lieutenants, because those people, they are already in luxury. When you're in charge, people that are eating well, they don't like trouble.
How come Mamambasa was killed by his friend, General Babangida? Mamambasa was highly placed, but he was accused of planning coup.
Okay, despite
was
that,
not highly placed at the time.
Despite that, this one now is a kind of fight for supremacy. Another military general is in power, and he wants to take over. He has overstayed. This one is a democratically elected president on seat. Okay. And now it's a military want to take over. Now I'm telling you that in the Nigerian system, the military, they are not organized. And secondly, there are people who takes decision in this country. The country has been shared. Let me be sincere. Well, I don't know whether I was supposed to say that here. But if a Yoruba man is in power, and this Yoruba man is somebody who understands the nitty-gritty of this country, who has the power, the capacity, you will see nothing like military coup. Secondly, General Olusegun Obasanjo has retired the vibrant soldiers. But the Nigerian army is just watery. What is happening there? Check the junior officers, what they are doing. People want to leave the military. So I don't see the people that can organize a coup that will work in Nigeria. When you see that even what is playing out now, if you check out Obasanjo and other people that are not coming out to attack Tinubu and these people here, because the person in power understands the system, how it works. So there is nothing like military. I come for see it. Anything that will happen, you yourself will check how the system is boiling.
Dr. Dun is of the opinion that this is not coming out of nothing.
No, the issue, why they mention that is just because the president, the rumor has gone over because our neighboring countries in Africa, they are already carrying out coups. So people feel Niger, and yes, because of the economic issue we are talking about and high-handedness by their leaders. So they feel the same thing can happen in Nigeria. Now, you check the system, how it works. Check the military. Check people who are in power. And check the supporters of people who are in power. The cabals, the caucus. Whether military can take over or not. Who is the military general? This thing is a kind of speech. It's too simplistic to even douse, or I would say pacify the common man to forget about talking about the system, that the system is working.
Okay. You had something to say in reaction?
Yes, I want to differ with him in some areas.
Okay.
One of those areas I want to differ with him is the area of, say, there is no control. And that also, too, if you feel, I don't know what your definition of control with respect to the military system we have. And another thing, too, also, too, you talk about that majority of the coup are not undertaken by high-ranking officers. They are always junior staff. So how do you think that these junior officers are not agreed to the level that they can decide to take the coup by the own to ensure that we get out of this mess? Because if you observe, nobody is happy with what is happening in Nigeria today. You agree with me with that? And that if that's true, there are also military officers who are aggrieved. No matter how they are guys, they are highly placed, they are into the power play system, as you are saying. I mean, to me, I still believe that there is no smoke without fire. There is something going underground that makes this man to come up with such a statement. Because earlier before now, there at no point in time that have we been getting such a reassurance that, there is no intention to take over.
Yes, I have to say something about that. The system is locked. It's under lock and key.
Who locked it? Where is the key?
It's under lock and key that the junior officer don't have access to the radio station where he can go and make proclamation that the military is coming to take over. It doesn't happen like that in the blink of an eye.
Do they make announcement before they take over, or
they take over before?
After
they have taken over.
Before they take over, that is what makes it legitimate. That they have to take control of the media space.
The last...
you have to take control of the media space.
The media space was taken control of by Gideon Oka, if I get that name correct. After the coup had taken place, and but they felt they had killed the commander-in-chief because that was Babangida that time. They felt, because they destroyed his entire house, but his aide was able to ferry him and his family to safety. Even up to date, nobody knows how he was able to do that. And after that, because the General Babangida at that time did not say anything, he was silent. Gideon Oka took over the airspace. It wasn't before, it was after. That coup happened because it was in Dodan Barracks. That coup happened in Dodan Barracks. It started around, I think, 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. And when they had torpedoed the entire place, Gideon Oka now took over the airspace, the radio space, and started making announcements, made a press release, gave declarations, told some people to go back to their states and stay pending when decision is taken and all of that. And then until much later, the whole thing was brought under control, and Babangida still came out and all of that. It was Abacha that took control and fought, right? Now, the whole thing at the end of the day was I do not think the military will come and announce to Nigeria that we are about to strike.
To strike.
Right. So when you're saying that they will take over the radio,
taking over the media space.
Taking over the media space is when that is what is known to the public.
That's when the public will know this is.
Will know about it. Other ones are not out of the scene. Those ones are behind the scene. You understand? When they've taken control, that one is what makes you to be aware that other people are in charge.
When they make the announcement.
When they make the announcement
that they are after the deal has been done.
Yes, even what happened to Agui Ironsi during this time, and that brought to his death, assassination, and Tafawa Balewa, all of them, that gave birth to the civil war. That was the same thing that happened. People thought there was an arrangement. Even what the Igbos are facing today is partially their fault.
Yes, because
there was arrangement, and they asked them to go and to kill their own, and they hid their own line to come and take over. So that sentiment has never died of that betrayal.
Yes.
So that is it.
We are going way back in history. We are going way back in history. But then, genuinely, when Nigeria has experienced coup,
see what I'm saying. See what will happen. See what I think will happen. Nigeria has been rated among the other indicators that the economy has failed.
Yes.
So I'm working on state failure and insecurity in Nigeria. You check the IMF, the rating, and the international organizations, what they are saying about Nigerian position in the world economy. Nigeria has failed just 13%. They have a very little contribution to national economy. So what I'm seeing is a
global
kind of political
economy
that I always advocate to massive political revolution. not military coup.
Not military coup,
and
but
anarchy.
political.
Okay, you believe that Nigeria will prefer to go into revolution,
not coup.
Not coup.
So from his own...
And if revolution does not occur, there will be anarchy when you can't walk on the streets freely again in a few years to come.
In few years to come?
Yes.
Aren't we snowballing into that with the recent looting going on in particularly the northern areas of Nigeria? Every day,
it's minor.
Every day, warehouse, a truck is looted, and my heart goes out to the owners of these businesses, because it might come to a point where private owners will shut down. We can't ferry goods anymore. Goods cannot move from the north to the south, and vice versa. And then we are on speed lane to farmer.
That is why we need to think.
That does not happen.
It's actually pathetic.
But be it as it may, hopefully the coup will not happen. Nigerians at this point, I believe Nigerians are going through a lot, but
I don't see it coming.
There is no call for such. There is no call for such. Nigerians have experienced military government.
Yes, for a long time.
And it is said that the worst democracy is better than the best military regime. But then, on to the next story. President Bola Tinubu has said that he will ensure an immediate review of the pension and severance packages of retired police officers to reflect the enormity of their contributions and commitments to the country. Tinubu also said that his administration will begin processes to issue an executive order to set aside a day between March 5 and April 1 to be officially regarded as National Police and Veterans Day in the country. He stated this during his address at the official launch of the Police Veterans Foundation at the headquarters of the Police Service Commission in Abuja on Tuesday. The president, who was represented by the Minister of State for Police Affairs, Eman Suleiman Ibrahim, promised his full support for the Veterans Foundation, describing support for the retirees as obligatory and a moral imperative for government at all levels and well-meaning members of the society. President Tinubu said, supporting and assisting the police veterans is rather a moral imperative, nay obligatory on government at all levels, including well-meaning members of the society. I must acknowledge that without these veterans, Nigeria will have no doubt descended into a Hobbesian state of nature where life is brutish, nasty and short, and only the fittest and strongest survive. As the president of our dear country, I will not only give my full support to the Veterans Foundation, but will also ensure that such areas as improving the pension and severance package of retired police officers are immediately reviewed to reflect the enormity of their contributions and commitments to our country. Also, administrative processes towards issuance of an executive order will be immediately initiated to set aside a day, perhaps 5th March, being today the launch of Veterans Foundation, or 1st April being the date that the hitherto existing police forces of northern and southern provinces were amalgamated to form a unified Nigerian police force as National Police and Veterans Day in Nigeria. Mr. Probel.
Yes.
Isn't this laudable?
It is not.
Why do you say it's not?
I'm even getting angry about that.
Shouldn't the welfare packages of police officers, retired police officers, be reviewed?
How can someone be having cancer and you're taking paracetamol? People that are suffering and shouting about economic problem, death of food supply in the country, and inflation. And the issue you're talking about, veterans, people who are out of service, that's the immediate. This is an event. It's not a process. What we need now is a process. What are the things we are supposed to do to revamp our economy, to reduce inflation, to make people happy? What are the strategies we need to put in place, not about past officers?
Building on what you said, if I may ask, Mr. Probel, the veterans, the police veterans, are they not Nigerian?
They are Nigerian. What I'm
Didn't
trying
they
to
give their 35 years of service?
Let me say this: if you take a trip to other parts of the world, any security personnel, they are good. They are big people, I mean, they are comfortable. You need to take care of people when they are in service, not when they are out, for proactive security, not reactive security.
The event was for veterans, not for active people.
How can this boost the morale of people in service to work harder for security in the country? For
if they are welfare
how are they sure that they will be alive or live well? See, when they become veterans, if they are not taken care of now, their children, their welfare has to be taken care of while they are active, not when they are out. I'm not saying this should be out, but I say it's insignificant considering the economic situation of Nigeria. It's not the right time to do this. It's just that your house is on fire and you're throwing party.
Well, Mr. Dom, before I come back to you, Mr. President.
Well, before I will say that I'm happy or I'm not happy, it depends on the definition of review he's talking about. Is it a downward review or an upward review? Because if it is an upward review, I think that will be condemned in entirety.
If it's an upward review?
Yes.
Why are you condemning upward review?
Yes, just like I said, that we have a serious challenge as it is today in Nigeria.
So do you support a downward review?
Well, downward review,
yes,
it depends on their present take home. Yes, it depends.
How much do police officers?
Because just like I said, sometimes too, although I know that police officers, they are not the same. They are not the same. I mean, in terms of their characters and all that. But if you look at their activities while in service, sometimes you begin to wonder why, they need to be considered in anything. Because one, these persons, some of them, their activities in terms of extorting the public and all that is on their alarming. So all those things need to be taken into consideration.
Now, when you talk about extorting the public, do you think that this could have arisen as a means of survival for most police officers who earn little or nothing and work very hard?
Can I say something about this?
Yes.
I'm not against this. Any system that is working, that is functional, these are normal issues that should be in place. When you work for a country and you retired, there are benefits you need to get. There are awards, there are incentives you need to get for a lifetime along your living. These are not things to talk about. That is what I'm talking about. It's an insignificant issue. I'm not striking it out. Yes. Because in reality, these are things that is done everywhere. This is done everywhere in the world.
But in Nigeria, it appears to be a thing of celebration. Because look, have you visited the?
It's not something that will take headline news.
Mr. Probla, have you visited the Nigerian police barracks?
Yes, I have seen.
Have you seen the states the barracks are in? Have you actually seen the states Nigerian police officers living? That should be headline news actually, because at the end of the day, it trickles down to their state of mind. At the end of the day, it trickles down to their disposition when working. At the end of the day, it trickles down to how they protect and how they serve. It trickles down to every single thing they do. So when there is a call to checkmate corruption within the security apparatus, when there is a call to checkmate extortion, severally, the IG of police has given instruction that these road barricades be removed and police should not be on the road.
So why are they still there?
Why are they still there?
Yes.
Now, how much is the police take home? I am not in any way.
No.
I'm not in any way making a case for them, but this is the reality. We are living the Nigerian reality. So the question will be, how much is their salary? What is their living condition?
So
what is their living condition?
So the insufficient salary is what led them to...
What is their living condition? The police officer works harder than most Nigerians because they are always on the road, under the sun, under the rain, regardless of the weather. They work. Yes. Now that's on one hand. Then when the police officer before let's not even go to retirement. When a police officer dies in line of duty,
okay,
before you could say hello, burial arrangements, the wife is expected to vacate the barracks. The wife and the children is expected to vacate the barracks, and most times these people have nothing. So let's look at the welfare package of the police officers in Nigeria. Okay. This is while in active service. So can you imagine what their life would be like after active service? It's a reality. Because when you talk about insecurity in Nigeria, and you say the federal government needs to fight insecurity, they need to beef up insecurity.
Then in that case,
the mentality of a typical police officer, do you think a police officer would want to die for the country that does not care for him or her?
Then in that case, my colleague Mr. Kobe said something, that they need to be rewarded while in service. That it shouldn't be reactive.
Same thing.
Yeah, saying the same thing.
Let me say something about what you just finished. You've just said the same thing I said.
Yes.
I said, veteran, this is an event. It's not a process. What I mean by a process is when you're in service, those things that needs to be done so that these people will be active to ensure national security.
That's it.
Not when you're retired that you need to rest and benefit from your labor. This should be set in place. It should be working for any administration that comes. It's not something that should be bring to a public space. That should be brought to a public space rather. So this thing has to be done while you're in service so that these people can give in their best because they know that their interests are protected.
Yes.
And the future of their wife, their children are protected.
Are insured.
Yes. So they will work hard and things will work. About the roadblocks and all these things, it's just a story. They are fake. Like we were saying, Inspector General of Police will announce they don't want to see any blockage on the federal road. That is number one. Do you have CCTV camera? Do you have database if people that are arrested or kidnapped or there is armed robbery cases with this kind of the size of the country and the landmass? How do you ensure the safety of people? The blockage, it depends on what they are doing on the road. That is what we should be talking about. And secondly, if you have people to be out of the road and you're in charge and those people are not listening, don't you think that the person who is making the announcement is making caricature of Nigerian people, citizens?
Interesting.
Because like my father those days, if you come to my compound, he's angry with you. Me, I used to look at the contour lines on his forehead. And I know he's not happy about your coming. He would just say, who is that is coming to the compound? He would just release one of our dogs. We used to have many dogs. And he would now say, when the dog is chasing you to bite you, you say, Lucky, stop. That was the name of one of the dogs, Lucky. And while he's saying, stop, Lucky, stop, he will stop. He knew how to prevent the dog from biting you. But he will allow the dog to bite you. He's pretending. So the announcement is a pretense.
Okay. On to the next thing. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Muhammad Idris, says the fact that Nigeria accepted grains from Ukraine does not make Nigeria a weak or failed state. Egypt gets about 60% of its grains from Ukraine. The fact that Egypt gets about 60% of its grains from Ukraine does not make it a failed state. The fact that we are having challenges at the moment does not make Nigeria a failed state. Therefore, accepting grains from Ukraine does not make Nigeria or Egypt failed countries. It is a normal thing because countries exist to depend on one another, the minister said at the Leadership Annual Conference and Award 2023 on Tuesday in Abuja. The event, according to the minister, it is true that Nigeria is facing some challenges and President Bola Tinubu is aware of this and he does not shy away from it. Nigerians voted for Tinubu with the deeper understanding and conviction that he has the capacity to turn things around for the better. And that is what he is doing. Some of the decisions he has taken were to ensure that Nigeria finds its place in the Committee of Nations. The decisions include removal of fuel subsidy and addressing the issue of foreign exchange and many others. In spite of the current challenges, the economic growth of Nigeria is on track and has continued to improve. Idris said. He said that fuel subsidy removal was a bold step in the right direction and urged Nigerians to support the president as the country will soon begin to reap the benefits. Mr. Dr. Dom, are you of the opinion that Nigeria receiving grains from war-torn Ukraine is not a state, it's not an indication of a failed state?
Yes, I agree with that.
What are your reasons?
Well, my reason is very clear. Already we've been giving instance that 60 tons of similar grain is also received by Egypt. And above all, too, for a state to grow or to advance the economy, there is every need for collaboration and partners with neighboring countries.
Okay.
Now, just of recent, we heard of our president's visit to for issue of
Qatar.
Qatar, sorry, thank you, Qatar, for economic discussion. All those are an attempt or move by the president to revive the economy. Just like we said, like we are earlier discussing, Nigeria is facing a hard time, but that does not mean that there is no hope for Nigeria.
All right.
Well, let me say something about it. In almost time, this is heartbreaking. I agree that it's a failed state.
You are of the opinion that I
also classify it as a high level of over-dependency to other nations. Let's imagine that Ukraine is sending grain to the United States of America. It's because the country is weak. Somebody who is fighting war, they were supposed to be begging. In fact, we are supposed to send aid to them if we are doing well. Now they are giving you food to eat. It's a crying shame. Now, I want to tell you something. Since 1940, I think I read it so, Egypt, like you mentioned, has been subsidizing bread for its citizens. And anytime they stop subsidizing this bread, the specter of riot blooms. That means about 5 piastres, that is like the kobo in Naira, equivalent to 1 cent of American dollar, was what they used to buy 5 loaves of bread. And anytime the government ceases to do this, there is always uproar and violence in the country. The last one that happened, 72 persons were killed and over 214 persons was injured. And the government always take proactive steps about this to ensure that the subsidy of bread, grain that are imported from Egypt, these are business strategies. They buy grain from Egypt. They don't send it to them as a gift, the way they do to us.
Egypt buys grain from Ukraine.
From Ukraine. Ukraine don't gift grain to Egypt the way they did to Nigeria. Nigerians, they are behaving like refugees. Every time to other nations, depending on other nations. So when you check this in, they subsidize this food for their citizens, and there is a market control. They also bring this grain from Ukraine and give it to bakery owners and tell them the price they will sell to the people, to the public. You don't exceed that limit. There is market control, pricing control in Egypt. So the people have access to cheap bread from 1940 to date. They are still doing it. And after that, they also support farmers in deserts to ensure that they have grains. But the grains is not sufficient for the consumption of the country. That is why they go to Ukraine to import. And now that there is war, you see their level of importation has reduced. Ukraine has never sent grain to Egypt as an aid, the way they are doing to Nigeria. Nigeria is making.
So there was no basis for that comparison?
Yes, not at all.
Now, Dr. Dom, you were of the opinion that there was nothing wrong with it. Now, let's look at the topography of Nigeria. Nigeria has arable lands.
Yes.
And from my research, 60% of the arable land in Nigeria lies. It lies just like that. It's
not cultivated.
It's uncultivated. Yes. It's not tended to.
Okay.
When you drive, just driving from River State to Abia State alone, you know how many kilometers you cover, you drive, arable land, lying shallow.
That shocked me when people talk about overpopulation.
So when you look at it critically, do you think, first of all, looking at the vast land that we have, arable land, not just land, arable land, and the excellent weather the country has, do you think that Nigeria, for any reason, should be in the state that it is for hunger crisis and high cost of living?
Laurentia, you are taking the issue to another dimension. Now,
that's a perspective.
Yes,
the conversation.
Okay. You talk about Nigerian receiving, Ukraine giving grain to Nigerian as a gift. Is it not so?
As an aid.
Aid. Now, I'm not good, even when I'm a statistician, I'm not good at dishing out statistics because if I dish out statistics, there is every tendency that I must provide the source. Because when you dish out statistics, 25% of what is your source? I'm a statistician by training, by education. So, now this issue we are talking about, what type of grain? Is it the seedling to be planted and for production?
For consumption.
For consumption. Well, if it is for consumption, I think there is another perspective to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's say
but if it is for production, like I did mention, is not an indication that Nigeria is a free state.
The grains are for consumption, Dr. Don.
But if it is for consumptions, in that area, that is where I would say that the best options Nigeria would have done is to send in their people there to train them on how to produce it than to receive it for consumptions.
Nigerians...
the federal government
should send people to war on Ukraine to learn how
best way to produce grain, if that is the best food that...
We have grains in the country.
If
the northern states
if we
produce grains.
Yes, then there is need.
I am talking about arable land that is not being cultivated.
That is what we have.
The impact it has on the economy.
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. That there is need for the federal government of Nigeria to encourage the production of grain than to receive. If the grain is not for production and is strictly for consumption. But on the other way, or in another perspective, that does not... You see, when they say a country give this to this other country, they will not receive it, just like you mentioned. That can, you say Ukraine give to US. There is 2 countries you mentioned here, countries.
You said can Ukraine give grain to US as
and
aid.
They will receive it
as aid.
As aid, and whether US will receive it, it depends on the government of the US. Because to me, I don't see anything bad about that.
All right. Let's come to Mr.
Something about like Rensha rightly said. If you're driving, you see the landmass and the arable land that are not used.
No doubt about that. Nigeria should encourage production of grain.
We should be helping other countries and exporting our produce. Now, every time people talk about overpopulation, that the world is overpopulated, these are the things that send shock waves to the spine of people so that you remain poor. There is no overpopulation. Even if we are 1 billion, there is enough land and enough food to eat. If people are working.
Yes.
Let me use this as a case study. When I was growing up, I grew up in the village. I wasn't a city boy. Anytime you come back from school, you come to the farm to eat. That is where your food is.
Yes.
And you go and plant cassava. Since I was born till I left my village, I've never seen my parents buying pepper, gari, yam. The only thing we buy is what we don't produce, fish. Another thing, even livestock, goats. We kill goats every week in my house. Nowadays, people that are so, I would say people that are encouraging laziness. And the internet has also allowed people Yahoo boys everywhere. And when they go to the village, even their primary ruler give them chieftaincy title, they go to church, the pastor, contemporary pastor announce them, they are valued. All the fine girls, they are following them, so everybody wants to do it. If not, people used to work, and there are sufficient food supply in the country. We will not be waiting for people that are fighting war to give us food to eat, instead of us to give them food to eat. Somebody is in trouble, running from their country to other place for asylum. Some people for asylum, some people as refugees, and those people that are feeding you. It is a shame now.
The argument,
it's a serious disgrace.
The argument is that it's not all parts of Ukraine that is experiencing the war, and they try to compare it to the civil war in Nigeria, and they said during the civil war it wasn't all parts of Nigeria that experienced civil war. So
if Nigeria wants to give out food, why are they supposed to send it to another country or send it to Biafra? That part that is not experiencing war, you send it to Niger and Ghana when your country is at war. Maybe your parents, your people, your sibling got married to somebody there, and there is war in Biafra, and my elder sister married an Igbo man. So instead of me to send food to the east, I will send it to Niger and Ghana. Is there any wisdom in that? The issue is that we are extremely poor because of our shallow thinking, and because of that, people are even sympathizing with us, and they are seeing our level of reasoning. This thing also is leadership issue. Because our people are not, there are some things you reject because it's like an insult.
If there is a donor and they give you and you say reject, is to me I see the country as being proud. I don't see any need. The reason for partners is for us to help each other to grow. Are you with me? It's for us to grow. Well, I am of the opinion that there is need to that Nigeria, our government, should strengthen the agricultural sector by ensuring that they go into the production of grain. But that does not simply mean that if there are seedlings regarding grain that we need to plant in Nigeria for production, that we cannot accept it.
They know how to get it. Sorry for saying this. Let me use this. There is a book by Professor Chinua Achebe, The Problem with Nigeria.
Yes.
They said the countless billion that a generous providence poured into the coffer of this nation would have been enough to transform the life of our poor and needy and swing us into the middle rank of developed nation in the world. But what have we done with it? We've stolen and sorted away by people in power.
That is another dimension to the issue, which I agree with. Which I agree with you.
To their party increasing army of party loyalists who have neither the competence nor the desire to execute their contracts.
Yes.
To execute their contracts. The importation of useless consumer merchandise that has nothing to do with the country. I got a car. My pastor does not know how I got the car. He didn't know. He asked me, President, I should come to church so that they would dedicate it. A Toyota Corolla 2013 model. I say, sir, I don't do that. Say, I'm not a religious person. In other parts of the world, if you're working in a restaurant, you can walk to a car link and get a car and pay small. These are basic necessities. Here, they will pray for it. A used car that people that are here now is a dumping ground. So we need to invest in agricultural production. There will be enough food instead of us receiving from people. It should not be done.
Mr. Dom, Dr. Dom, sorry, what solution do you prefer? You said Nigeria should invest in agriculture. Now, from time immemorial, we've always heard agricultural reformation. We've heard diversification of the economy into agriculture. It has always been a story, but no clear-cut implementation. Because if over the years, what the federal government said they've been doing with respect to agriculture is being done, regardless of what is going on, Nigeria will not be suffering, will not be in a state of hunger. Regardless of what is going on, there will be food in surplus. So what do you think should be done? What is the way forward?
Well, you rightly said it. The major thing is implementation. You talk about the diversification of there have been several recommendations that there is need for Nigeria to diversify and go into local productions and
mechanized farming.
it shouldn't be of something of just mere recommendation. There should be need for a follow-up to ensure that mechanized system of farming is actually implemented.
Well, the government, Mr.
And that also too, there is need to encourage SMEs, because when a local woman in the village go into productions and there is no means for he or she to sell it at, I think it becomes a problem.
I think selling out is not even an issue in the country, because the moment
government
sold out.
Sufficient product.
They don't.
There should be proper implementation.
Do we have sufficient?
I have something to say.
You don't.
Let me say something. Everything has been said. Everything has been written. Everything has been broadcasted about how to salvage Nigeria. What needs to be done is to build a functional system. If you go to the supermarket, like Timeless supermarket, to buy, the innate instinct in man condone evil rather than good. Everybody will steal. Even the white people we are talking about, other developed nations, if they have the opportunity, they will steal. But the issue is that the system does not allow you to steal, because you don't have access to what to steal. So if they build a system like that, like if you own this place and they are selling goods and services, you restrict your employees not to touch money. You pay, you transfer. The money, they don't touch it. You don't touch money. They can't steal. Even somebody who wants to steal. These are the way the system should work. It does not depend on the individual. Even the worst person becomes the president of Nigeria and the system is working. The system will work with the bad person in charge. But
because it can't circumvent.
Because it cannot. There is a restriction. Something you cannot do, and everything will come in place. There are experts in agriculture, in science and technology, everything in security that would come and help you. Like the former governor of Rivers State, Amechi, if you check the way when he was working well in his first tenure, you found out that they employ experts, they surround him, and they were advising him. That was why you see some massive development in Rivers State. You can't do it all. Your duty is to have that charisma, to carry people along, to work with a team, and everything will fall in place. The issue, the centrifugal point, is to build a functional system.
A functional system, and then oversee implementation.
Yes.
Now, let me come to you. Okay. Finally. Pending when the functional system is built, according to what Mr. Probel has said, how can solutions be implemented? Because it appears Nigeria has a very serious challenge in the area of implementation. In a minute.
Yes, I agree with you that they have challenge with the issue of implementation. But the best thing that can be done is that they should try and build a system that will enhance, that it doesn't trickle down, and politicians will not divert it to different sources, and not to the actual people that the thing is meant for.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Dom, for coming on Blowout this morning. It's always a pleasure to have you, sir.
Same here, too.
And thank you, Probel President. It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Blowouts. You can stay connected to us on all our socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Ogu Laurentia Choma. Open conversation, conceptness.